Hello and welcome to Gathering Greenwood, quick guide video tutorial for the National Archives. My name is Jonathan Hill and I will be your presenter today. What kind of records are held at the National Archives? The U.S. National Archives and Record Administration, also known as NARA, holds a variety of public records across numerous different branches nationwide. These can include military records, immigration and naturalization records, log books from federal ships, homestead applications, work progress administration records, and so much more. There are two main kinds of National Archives branches. The first are main branches and the second are regional branches. One of the main branches is located in Washington, D.C. at the National Archives building in downtown Washington, D.C. This is called Archives 1. They also have Archives 2, which is located in College Park, Maryland. In addition to the main branches, there are also regional branches in the following cities: Atlanta, Boston, Chicago, Denver, Fort Worth, Kansas City, Philadelphia, Riverside in California, New York, San Francisco, St. Louis, and Seattle. Of special note here, St. Louis is actually also the home of the National Personnel Records Center, which holds United States military service files from 1917 onward. So if you're looking for someone who was in the military, after 1917 and you're looking for their service information, oftentimes that is held at the St. Louis branch, even though that is a regional branch. Main branches versus regional branches. Well, a main branch is going to cover nationwide documents, like those related to military service, while regional branches collect records of federal government offices and courts within the areas that they serve. You can find a detailed breakdown of the different regions and that are covered by different branches and where those branches can be found on the Family Search Wiki. There's a link here to that, and if you go to that link, it will show you, whatever state you're looking for, whatever region you're looking for, what the regional branch that covers that area would be. It is also important to note that you can actually request to have the National Archives look up a record for you, meaning that you don't have to go there in person yourself to get every single record that you need. However, it is important to know if you do send a request to the National Archives, there is oftentimes a multi-month wait or a time delay from when you request the record to when you actually receive the record. So just know if you do actually use the National Archives service to pull a record, it's just going to take perhaps more time than you would think to pull the record, as they have a lot of records requests. Also, it's important to contact the repository before you visit in person, just in case you need appointments. So you are able to actually go into any of the archives, but it's important to know if you're looking for something that's not local, you can definitely send a request in. But if you end up going in person to an archives, it's important to make sure that you check to see, first off, if you need an appointment, and it's also helpful to familiarize yourself with the rules and regulations of each branch. But where to begin? A great place to begin is to actually examine and identify which record group you are looking for and which the collection belongs to. Finding the record group is really the best way to begin searching for records at the National Archives. A full list of the type of record groups can be found on NARA's website here. And when you access that page, what you'll see is it says all record groups. And it's this big long list starting with number 1, going downward, of all of the different departments and organizations that are a part of the National Archives. So for example, if you were looking for a record that would fall under the Department of Veterans Affairs, that would be under Record Group 15. If you were looking for information from, say, the United States Coast Guard, that would be under Record Group 26. And you can scroll through this entire list and you will see all the different record groups. I want to highlight just a few of the different record groups that are important and might be helpful for some researchers. For example, Record Group 15 is the Department of Veterans Affairs. Record Group 75 is the Bureau of Indian Affairs. Record Group 94 is the record of the Adjutant General's Office between 1780 and 1917. Records related to the Bureau of Refugees, Freedmen, and Abandoned Land is Record Group 105. Record Group 160 is U.S. Army Service Forces during World War II. 162 are Federal Works Agency. 279 is the Indians Claims Commission. And 407 is the Adjutant General's Office from 1917 onward. So where to go after finding the record group? Well, once you have established which record group you are looking for, the next best thing to do is find the collection that you want to investigate further. One great resource for doing this is to access the microfilm guide from the eServices page at the National Archives. That is eservices.archives.org/order online. When you go to that link, it will bring you to a page that looks like this. If you hit order reproductions, that would be how you would send a request to order a specific record, but you can also click on microfilm, and this will show you any of the federal records that are stored as microfilm. When you go to the microfilm page, you can actually hit Browse NARA's microfilm catalog to actually manually browse all of the different microfilm that are available at different National Archives sites. So you have here the National Archives, and it's going to list all of the different collections that are available that are on microfilm. It will list the publication number, the publication title, the record group number, and the record group title. And oftentimes what you can do, if you know you're looking for one from a certain record group number, you can actually click on the up or down button next to record group number at the top, and it will order all of them in order, so it's a little bit easier to find if you're looking for a specific record group, the microfilm that are in that particular collection. And you can use the same link that I was talking about earlier in order to create a NARA account and order records straight from the website. After following the prompts to create an account, you can send research requests directly to the National Archives. Learning more about the collections on NARA's website. If you know the record group that you're looking for, you can also find more information about the scope of the collection through NARA's website. So let's say you were looking for something specific and you wanted to know more about just the general information on what kind of information is stored in these particular collection, you would click on that catalog link. And that would bring you here to a web kind of a search bar, and at the bottom there it says Advanced Search right underneath the search button. You want to click on that. When you click on that, it will bring you to the Advanced Search button, and you can actually search by record group. So let's say we were looking for something that is going to be held in record group 75. If you were looking for a specific collection in there, you could type in 75 into record group number. And that will bring you to this page here where you can see there is, we're on page 1 of 29,000, right? So there's a lot of records that have been digitized in this record group. But, if we were just trying to find out basic information about the scope of the collection, you could just click on really any of the ones that pop up in this. So let's say we click on, case number 330. And when you bring over to case 330 and scroll down, you will see where the creator, it says creator, and it says most recent, and then it says Department of the Interior, Office of Indian Affairs, Office of the Commissioner to the Five Civilized Tribes, 1893 to 1914. So that is going to be, let's say, the collection we were looking for. If you click on that, it will actually bring you to a pretty detailed write-up where it goes into great detail about the kinds of records and who would be included in this, the history of the collection itself, when it was authorized, who is it going to cover, what dates is it going to cover. So if you have any questions about the scope of a collection, even if it's available and digitized on a different site, I always encourage people to go and try to bring it back to the source and learn a little bit about the collection itself and the kind of information that could be held within it, because it's helpful to know if you're looking for somebody to know if they'll fit into the scope of the collection. So in conclusion, while the National Archives website can oftentimes be not the most user-friendly place in the world, it can provide an invaluable resource to researchers, and oftentimes is the only place where certain records are held. So it's worth investigating the types of records that are held at the National Archives and Record Administration, and familiarizing yourself with the variety and range of records that are held by the various branches. So if you want to learn more, I encourage folks to look at the list of the types of record groups, which can be over there, and that's that numerical listing of all the different record groups that are at the National Archives. I also encourage folks to look at the list of NARA branches and see what states and regions are covered by which regional branches. And I also encourage folks to look at the NARA catalog. because on the NARA catalog you can see a lot of records that have been digitized. Now it's really important to know a vast majority of the records at the National Archives are not digitized. So some stuff will be on the NARA catalog fully digitized, but just know most of the stuff is not going to be. So if you do find something that's not digitized, it can help you learn about a collection, or you might even find some records you want right on the NARA catalog website. So I encourage folks to kind of click on that link and definitely go around and kind of play around with the filters, play around with different search functions on that website. And I've really found one of the best ways to do this is just to kind of learn on the spot and kind of try different search functions and see what comes up. But you can always also search by record number like we were talking about earlier. But definitely check out the catalog because there's a lot of good information on there as well. Thank you so much for watching this quick guide video tutorial on the National Archives. For other videos in this series, please visit thegreenwoodculturalcenter.org.